This week's scenario is Into the Breach from the 2014 Steamroller packet. This scenario does not have the Killbox Artifice and consists of a 12-inch diameter zone, 1 flag, and 2 objectives. The zone can be controlled for 1 CP or dominated for 2 CP, and the flag can be dominated for 1 CP. Any objectives can be destroyed for 1 CP. The objectives have Defense 5, Armor 18, and 15 health boxes, and has the Valor special rule. While this objective is not contested by enemy models, friendly faction solos within 4 inches of this model gain Inspiration. With Inspiration, friendly faction models and units in this model's command range never flee and immediately rally.
Hey everybody, it's Solus. So I'm playing E-Absylonia, Daughter of Everblight this week. She's one of my favorite warcasters at the moment. She's a blast to play, and she brings a lot of heavy-hitting power, and she really supports a battle group heavy list. So I'm running with her this week a Carnivean, 2 Scythians, a Seraph, a Nephilim Protector, a Naga Nightlurker, 2 Deathstalkers just to help me out with clearing some infantry if I need to, as well as a Shepherd and a Forsaken for some Fury management, and a Feralgeist to hop into my beasts or an enemy beast when it dies, or just to help me contest a zone or objective or a flag.
Hey everybody, this is Gaston, and we are here today with E-Reznik again, this time out of theme. I've actually made a few changes to this list since playing this game, direct response to things I've learned this game, but the nice thing about having these things on tape is we can go back, we can learn together, we can see what worked, what didn't work, and how to improve it. I really enjoyed having the Idrian Skirmishers with him. They have just successfully torn things up, particularly with adding in Aiyana and Holt. You're looking at PAL 15s versus their prey targets. They have been just amazing.
So, for deployment, I end up going first, and the scenario is Into the Breach, so the flag on this scenario is generally dead, because only your Warcaster or Warlock can actually score on it. So I set up fairly heavily weighted to the zone on my left flank, or on my left side, excuse me, and then I just pretty much distribute my battle group evenly.
So for deployment, I'm looking at trying to avoid that big puddle of water in the middle, but also be able to threaten that flag in case Abby decides to go over there, just because her army is so fast. And I am feeling a little bit of a disadvantage here with terrain, because there's that big mess of rough terrain in the middle again, and I just don't have the Pathfinder to get over it with my heavy hitters. The Idrians fortunately do. The other thing is, I went ahead and I took second, so that way I could take this side particularly, so I could get that wall on my side and get that out of my way. It is more to deny my opponent the advantage, more than to gain a specific advantage for me.
As far as advanced deploy goes, I set up my Deathstalkers pretty much evenly, one on my left flank and one on my right flank. They're fast enough that they can get to pretty much wherever I need them on the board.
I went ahead and I deployed the Idrians directly across from where a lot of his heavies are. They're going to go ahead, they're going to prey one of the Scythians, and the goal is going to be to take one of them out pretty quickly, just because of how dangerous they can be. We're having Eiryss and Aiyana and Holt stack up on that side as well, again to support them, to remove Fortify and Spiny Growth, and any other buffs you have that might be able to keep that model alive.
So for my turn 1, I start off, I just advance my Deathstalkers up the board, trying to figure out where he's going to put his Idrians next turn, so I can start shooting them and trying to clear them out. And then I just go into my standard turn 1 with Epic Abby. The Seraph does Slipstream, advances, and then Slipstreams the Scythian up. The Carnivean advances and puts up Spiny Growth on itself, and pretty much everything is pushing very heavily towards the zone. He's got a lot of heavy hitting power, especially with the Idrians there. but I know pretty much his threat range, so if I can stay out of it, I'll be in a much better position. So, my Carnivean has Fortify and Spiny Growth on it, making it a fairly healthy Armor 22. So that's always helpful. And I pretty much just want to push as quickly as possible into that zone. If he can clear out, at least one heavy war beast, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. But I don't think he's got power to do it at ranged at this point. So, to that end, pretty much everything just moves up. My Shepherd and Forsaken come up and try and fix my Fury. And the Feralgeist just runs up to be annoying.
So my turn 1 was very straightforward. We're going to move up, and we're going to be very, very mindful of his threat ranges, particularly with that Scythean that's right up there. So the idea is to feed him a couple of Idrians, but not a whole lot of them. That way I can take advantage of that Death March and of that prey in order to make maximum use of them. So they're going to go ahead, they are going to pop mini feet this turn. The whole unit's going to run, except for the guide. He's going to pop the mini feet, then he's going to go last. And again, they are kind of hanging back to take advantage of that wall as well. I don't want to get them too far forward, and the wall is that's the reason why they're behind the wall, because they're going to be getting the cover anyway. We're also making sure to leave a nice little gap for the Avatar to run in there to give him a little bit of backup. Unfortunately for me, he did move the Prayed Scythean to the back, and I'm sorry, I guess they didn't run, they just advanced and they tried to shoot, but they're all out of range. He moved the Prayed Scythean to the back, which is very unfortunate, and it is a nice thing to have Aiyana and Holt there, because every time I've actually prayed a heavy, they've gone ahead and they've actually run the heavy to the back. It's been like a bronze back, it's been a Scythean. These are not low value heavies, but for, depending on the matchup, they might just have multiples. It was, I was up against 3 bronze backs, he ran 1 to the back, he had 2 more to go. In this case, he has multiple Scythians. So it's something to consider that your opponent will do when you're looking at choosing a prey target. So here we've got Iron Aggression going onto the Reckoner, and Reznik's just moving on up. He's also putting Death March onto the Idrians. Choir saying no shooting. Reckoner is running on up for free. Again, we're making sure I'm covering that flag. I don't want to get too close to the wire. I want to have that option to move upwards to that zone with the Reckoner in case I need that extra beater there. And the Avatar is just running and gazing. Nothing's going to be in gaze rage, it's a good habit to get into. Anytime he's going to run, you should gaze as well. And Aiyana and Holt are going to move forward and go stealth mode. And that'll just protect them from these Strider Deathstalkers.
Alright, so going into my turn 2, he's, again, like me, pushing fairly heavily towards the zone. So I've got some work to do. I've got a couple of Idrians in the zone right now that I need to clear out. The trick is going to be trying to clear them out and not putting a lot of my heavy hitters in range to get hit. So my Deathstalker aims and shoots 2 Idrians off out of the zone, which is fairly nice. I mean, they're high defense because they went to ground and everything. My other Deathstalker tries to repeat and fails miserably. So the Naga advances, boosts a shot, tries to shoot an Idrian out of the zone and misses, unfortunately. So not great, but at least got 2 Idrians off the table. So, I put Spiny Growth on the Carnivean, who walks up and tries to spray an Idrian and is just short. So, then Abby goes, she puts Spiny Growth on both Scythians and sits on 2 and just sort of shuffles up a little bit. I have my Scythean advance into base to base with the Carnivean, but then decide not to have him that close because I remember that E-Reznik has Flesh is Weak, which stops me from charging, which is a very significant problem. It slows me down, which means that I can't hit as hard as I need to. So I put Safeguard on Abby with the Protector, just because I'm worried about him, possibly knocking her down. Not sure why, but for some reason that's just always a fear of mine. So I slipstream Abby with the Seraph a little bit farther forward. Right now I'm fairly happy with my spacing. I've got the Protector who can shield guard both the Carnivean and the Scythean. So the Carnivean's got Spiny Growth and Fortify, making it a armor 22, and the Scythean has Spiny Growth, making it armor 20. I couldn't get the Protector up quite far enough to be able to shield guard the epic air shot that I know is coming on the other Scythean, so he's only going to be an armor 18. But I'm fairly happy with my positioning this turn.
So we killed a couple more Idrians than I would have liked, but overall not too bad. And you can actually see me here over there on the top right. I'm trying to math out what their expected damage is. This is something new I'm trying to be more aware of in my games, rather than just kind of throwing models at something haphazardly, getting kind of an idea of what they can kill, what they can't kill. And the idea here is that can non-prayed Idrians kill one of those Scythians? And with addition of harm, I believe they can. So we're going to try that out now. So they're going to go ahead, they're going to take their 3-inch prey move. There's going to be nothing in melee for them attack, so no biggie. What we're going to be careful to do here is move them so that there's a pocket for Aiyana and Holt to advance into, so I can go ahead and harm that Scythian. Now the reason I'm going for the non-prey Scythian versus the preyed one that's further in the back is the shooting. He's got a shield guard back there, and he has either Fortify, Tenacity, Spiny Growth, spammed all over the place. We've had Spiny Growth on all of them. And I need to shoot that off with Eiryss, and I don't want him to shield guard that, so we're not going to go for that one. So we're going to go to the front one, and he also has the advantage of being in range of more guys. So now we're just allocating out some focus, upkeeping both the spells. The other thing that we're going to gun for is we're going to try to hit the remaining 2 heavies with Flesh is Weak to deny them the ability to charge. So first up we have Kell. He's going to move over, he's going to pop the Feralgeist, because he has a magical gun and I can. Eiryss is next. She's going to move forward, and she's going to go ahead and blow off whatever armor defensive upkeeps he had on that guy. Again, he's out of range for the shield guard, so we're able to avoid that. Car moving up, they are chanting battle. Reckoner is going to go ahead and go, and he is putting a boosted shot right into that Scythian, which, thanks to battle, will still magically hit with that horrible damage roll, horrible to hit roll. But now with Flare up, we have Aiyana and Holt moving up, and the reason to have the Reckoner go first was to make it easier to hit with Flare. Just again, my dice haven't been fantastic, so any bonus I can get. And Aiyana's going to kiss him, Holt's going to pop him a couple times, it's just a couple POW 14s. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to have the Idrian gun line go. And they are going to receive the order to assault and battery, and they are just going to start lighting this guy up. And they are doing a fantastic job. I mean, the damage rolls on this were just awesome. I think when it's all said and done, from all their shots, the Scythian maybe has 6 health left. Something like that. It was definitely in the single digits. So now, because they have the assault and battery order, we're going ahead and we're checking for prey, just to see who's in. And I believe it's the front 2 or 3 guys who get it. Now they're going to go ahead and charge. A fair number of them are actually charging their actual prey target, trying to get some damage on him early. So that way, if it becomes an issue where Reznik has to go in there, it's already pre-damaged heavy. I would feel unsafe sending Reznik again against like a healthy heavy, but if it's, 2/3 dead, I feel like he can finish that off, not a problem. So we go ahead, we send 3 Idrians onto their prey target, and we send one of them onto the Naga, again just trying to get a little damage out there, maybe knock out an aspect if I get lucky. Then a couple of them are charging that Scythean, and we're taking one of them and we're throwing him right up to where I want to hit him with Flesh is Weak. I'm trying to squeeze him in to be able to hit both the Carnivean and the Scythean there. And what became an issue is I actually blocked myself off with one of those charge guys, or maybe I should have backed him off and hit him with Flesh is Weak instead in order to catch both of the heavies. So as it stands right now, I'm able to hit accurately, but my damage rolls just suddenly tank with the Idrians on that Scythean. So rather than easily doing that extra 6 damage or single-digit damage I needed to do, we leave the guy on something like 1 health. And it's just super angry. And then against the Prey Scythean, we do maybe a third. I think it's like a spiral to him, which is not unreasonable. So now this leaves me in a fun conundrum. I really want that one Scythean dead, because all my guys are there, I put a lot into this. So what we're going to end up having Reznik do is ride on forward and pop feet. And that'll knock that Scythean's defense down even further, so that way we can have the Reckoner Ancillary attack hopefully hit him. So we're going from the Scythean being defense 11, he'll be +4 from being engaged, he'll be defense 15, -2 from feet, -2 from flare. So we're back to needing force to hit, which with the Vassal Ancillary attack, that's not unreasonable at all. Then this would be a POW 17 shot because of harm, dice off 1, very good odds of killing him. So this is me going for the Flesh is Weak. We're measuring it. Unfortunately, it's as I feared, and that Idrian is not in range in order to stop the Scythean from charging. But we do go ahead and catch a Carnivean in it, and so he will be not charging anybody or running. Then Reznik's going to finish his ride by, scoot on back. Again, being very careful with distances, checking those threats. I don't want him to get charged. Vassal, Ancillary attack, and boom, dead Scythean. And we're just checking to see what the feat does damage to. There's not a whole lot there. So not exactly the world's greatest feat, but very necessary in order to get ahead on the heavy trading game. And then, unfortunately, since I didn't get both of the heavies there, I'm having to be extra careful with the Avatar to avoid that 15-inch threat range from the Scythean. And that's why the Avatar is hanging so far back. And that's going to be a common theme throughout this game, is that when I can threat 10 inches and you can threat 15 inches, that becomes a significant issue for me. We're just finishing bunkering on up. That's Mechanic there.
Right, so turn 3, I did lose the non-spiny growth Scythian. I kind of saw that coming, unfortunately. Didn't quite happen exactly how I expected it to. I had some hope after it was still alive after all of the Idrian shots and the Idrians beating on it. But, things happen, and, well, we do the best we can. So, at this point, I'm looking at the board, and there's a couple of things that I do want to try and get done. So the Deathstalker goes ahead, aims, and shoots 2 Idrians off the board, and then advances backwards again. So that clears off a couple of them. Now, I only have 1 Idrian left in the way that's tying up the Naga, so we'll see if I can... I really need to get that out of the way. They're low enough armor that I think that it'll be okay. So I advance the Forsaken up and Blight Bomb, and fail to kill it. So that's disappointing. And as an aside here, I do forget that the Forsaken has Abomination. I don't know why. I think I was, at this point, trying to figure out how to unjam myself, so I should, really make a note on the card or something, or it needs to be having a big sign that says "I'm an abomination." Not a huge deal, but if the Idrians, if I had forced a abomination check on the Idrians, if they'd broken, this would have made my life a whole lot easier. So Abby walks up and hits the Idrians. Takes him out, triggering Conferred Rage, and then doesn't do a whole lot of anything else, and just teleports over and sits on a bunch of transfers. So the Carnivean advances and is... I am dumb here. I spray targeting Aiyana, which triggers Quick Shot from Holt, which means that I automatically miss her. And yeah, so I boost on the one Idrian that I could hit, and miss there, and then it just puts Spiny Growth on itself. I have the Scythean advance up and smack the Idrians that were in the way, and tying up my other Deathstalker. I have my Protector go ahead and run, and then just sort of staying in shield guard range of Abby, just in case. I have my Seraph advance and shoot at Eiryss. So getting 2 shots, missed the first shot, hit the second shot, and she just dies. So my Deathstalker advances and shoots the Idrian, or the Idrians, out of the zone. As a note here, I'm not terribly happy about my positioning. Again, with Flesh is weak, that means that if he manages to hit it, that big clump of like my Protector, my Seraph, and E-Absylonia are going to be not doing a whole lot next turn. But I really needed to get Eiryss off the table. Not a great turn. I did mostly clear the zone, and he is running out of stuff to do, or to do stuff with. I'm not terribly happy with how I had to position everything.
So as you can see, things did not go so well for my poor Idrians this turn, or previous turn, and they pretty much got wiped out to a man. There is one guy left, swinging ineffectually at the poor Naga. Don't upkeep Death March. And it's very much going back and watching this video and critiquing myself. It's very much a mistake on my part. I threw them up there, they did fantastic work for me, then I didn't support them afterwards. I was too focused on not losing a heavy, where I don't have anything now to threaten that zone, where potentially I could have used Enliven or something to have the chance to threaten that zone and keep my heavy safe. And that's something that going forward from this game I really look to fix with my list building and the way I played it. But unfortunately at this point it cost me quite a bit. Fortunately, the good news is that Aiyana and Holt actually kept that zone for me, and thank God for Quick Draw, canceling that attack. And that kept me from actually losing points this go round. But it also puts me in a very bad situation where, again, he still doesn't pop feet, and so he has these crazy threat ranges. So what I'm going to try to do is take Reznik, move around, and just cold arc some Flesh's Weeks there, and try to catch Abby so that she can't get Conferred Rage up. Try to catch that Scythean, the Carnivean, to stop him from moving forward. And do things that way. Again, we're going ahead, we're picking on that Scythean in the back who's already injured. He does shield guard. He does not shield guard that, I'm sorry. But we are going to keep picking on the injured Scythean to keep that going. But it forces me into a bad situation now where I feel like I have to start throwing pieces up there in order to give him targets so that way I can hit him back afterwards. That's what's going to eventually happen here with the Devout, is we're going to throw him up there into the zone to be a charged target. We're going to expect for him to get wrecked. But then I'm going to be able to counterattack, and I'll only offered up a Devout instead of something very important that I need, instead of one of my 2 heavy hitters. And this is Kell. He is double-shotting a Forsaken, who is being very aggravating and living throughout. Kara moving up through Chaining Battle. Hierophant Harmonious Exaltation. And now Reznik's doing a ride-by attack. This is where he's moving forward in order to get the Seraph in range for Flesh's Week. And we're just trying to hard roll that 7. And we miss. And it scatters really far away, which is not what I needed at all. It doesn't end up hitting anything. But ending Conferred Rage is important to me, so go ahead and do it again. This time we get Abby, the Seraph, and I believe the Shield Guard guy, the Nephilim Protector. Then ride by backwards to safety. The downside is I was not able to have that second Flesh's Week in order to hit the Carnivean, so he is still able to charge. Then we have the Avatar. He goes ahead, he moves up in front of Reznik in order to kind of block anything from being able to get by. He also has Gaze up, and he is successfully in Gaze Rage of the Carnivean. Then again, the Devout, he's running up, he's standing in front of the Avatar, saying, hey, you have to send a heavy in to deal with me, and now I'll be able to counterattack back. So the Reckoner is scooting up, and he's going to go ahead and put a boosted shot into that Scythean. And this will be the shot that's actually shield guarded. And we'll just end up boosting damage on the Nephilim Protector, who really ends up not caring about it at all. Vassal's going to come around, he's going to go ahead and put Enliven on the Avatar, just, to give him another out. And we're going to see what Solus has coming.
So, going into turn 4, what happened, what I was afraid of happened, and he managed to land Flesh's Week on Abby. I'm not terribly worried about the rest of the models that he caught, but Abby's kind of a big one. That means that I'm going into this turn with pretty much no way to trigger Conferred Rage, which kind of hurts, but we'll see what happens. So, the Forsaken just goes up, tries to melee the Idrian there, and does nothing. The Deathstalker advances, shoots the Avatar, which gets shield guarded by the Devout. I'm trying to shoot off Enliven, so that when I go up to hit the Avatar, it's gonna be fairly hurt. So the other Deathstalker just shoots off Enliven, and then where he scoots the Avatar just a little bit over. So nothing major, nothing terrible. But we'll see how this goes. So, I do make sure that the Naga is outside of my control area at this time. Not great, but I can at least sort of mitigate things a little bit. So... Abby cast Slipstream advances over. I do remember to roll my Abomination checks this time for the Deathstalker and the Shepherd. And then she puts Fortify back on the Carnivean. And then I look around, then she puts Spiny Growth and on the Carnivean, and then goes ahead and feats. At this point, I'm kind of looking to make sure that that everything can get to where I need it to go. The Scythean goes ahead, charges the Devout. I'm just trying to get it out of the way at this point. And then manages to hit it a couple of times. I managed to end up killing it, which is helpful. It means that my Carnivean is not going to take a free strike while it goes over. Although flying over, taking a free strike while it's armor 22 is not a huge concern. But, you know, anything to make my life a little bit easier at this point. Seraph goes up, slipstreams the Carnivean just a little bit farther forward. And then strafes Holt. There's an interesting interaction between strafe and quick shot, or quick draw. Basically, I missed my first attack, but since I rolled multiple attacks, that means that I can kill Holt, which is helpful. So Protector can't do a whole lot because is affected by Flesh is weak, so it just sort of wanders up. I decide to take a free strike on the Naga, walking away from the Idrian. It buys an attack on the Reckoner, boosting to hit. Doesn't do a whole lot. At this point, I'm just fishing for the crit. If I can make it Shadowbound, that means it's not going anywhere. And then it can't shoot because of reach, but, I mean, I would lose the Naga, which is not great, but at this point the Naga is not terribly important. I don't really need Wraithbane, and I'm running out of stuff that I can shoot effectively. So, Naga does end up killing Aiyana, which is nice. That means that I got everything out of the zone, so I'll be able to score. So, the Carnivean goes ahead, charges the Avatar. Manages to kill it, which is nice. The Avatar is always fairly annoying to deal with, so I was kind of hoping to be able to kill the Avatar with using less attacks, so that I could kill the objective and then score 3 points on this turn, putting me fairly far ahead on the scenario. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do everything that I wanted to, so I only end up scoring 2 points because I'm going to dominate.
So that went about as bad as could be expected. At this point, I have multiple heavies in my face, and there's a decision tree here that needs to be handled, which is to have the Reckoner go for one heavy and have Reznik go for the other heavy. And there's two different ways that this can be done, where you have Reznik go after the fully healthy Carnivean, which I said at the beginning I really don't like doing that. Then have the Reckoner go for the damaged Scythean. Or we can do vice versa, where we fully allocate to the Reckoner, have him go for the live Carnivean, then have Reznik go ahead and finish off the Scythean. And the concept being that it takes less focus. And that's eventually the decision I ended up making because it felt like the safer decision at the time. If you remember, at the start of the game I was mathing things out and trying to plan out the correct decision. And the safer decision in this case was not necessarily the correct decision. So I didn't math it out this time, I went with my gut, and because we're going back and we're watching this, you guys get to math it out with me. So the idea here is that Reznik needs to put up Creator's Wrath, so that'll take his Hierophant and his Wrack, that's a 2, and that leaves him with 7 focus to play with. With Creator's Wrath up, he'll ignore Fortify and he'll ignore Spiny Growth on the Carnivean because E-Absylonia cast it, so it becomes a spell. So you're looking at basically a POW 13 Weapon Master on an Armor 18 Heavy. Now, when you start doing that math, that comes out to be about 5 damage per dice roll, assuming I roll, 10s on the 3 dice. I like to round down. I realize it's like 10.5 is average, but we're going to go ahead and round down. So with that, it should take approximately 6 attacks to do 30 damage, which is, I believe, right around where they're at. I think they have 28 health off the top of my head. So with 6 attacks, that's 5 focus. We're going to leave another focus there. That'll be 6 focus. Just in case dice rolls go bad, in case he has more health than I think he does. So we'll have that attacks. We'll be able to ride up that much, but then we'll be able to ride back out of threat range of all the other things that can get to me. I'm not terribly scared of like the Seraph's POW 14s, necessarily. And at that point, you can have the Reckoner walk around. He'll only have 1 focus to be allocated because remember it took 6 focus and then my extra attack in order to kill off the Scythean with this math. Sorry, the Carnivean with this math. Now we're going to have the Reckoner come around with his 1 focus, so have an initial attack, 1 focus, and then the Vassal's ancillary attack in order to kill off that damaged Scythean. Now the Scythean is only armor 18, so I'll be at dice +1. And then I've already hurt it, so it's only a third, or 2/3 health left, it's a third health down. So that would be the smarter move. The reason why I was a little bit worried about doing that in this case was that I was worried that with that rough terrain there and the objective there, the Reckoner wouldn't be able to walk far enough. As it is, what I ended up doing is having Reznik come up, do a ride by, kill off that Scythean. Poor dice rolls meant it took a lot more focus than I thought it would. And then he finishes ride by, not leaving the threat range of that Carnivean, but instead going behind that wall in order to limit the things that can get to him, since the Seraph doesn't have reach. And then we have the Reckoner come around and he bashes on the Scythean, but with Spiny Growth and Fortify up, he ends up not being able to kill it. The one shining light that happened here is actually the Vassal Mechanik came up, and for once in his freaking life, this guy, he just hates me. We have this horrible relationship, but for once in his life, he did his job and actually repaired almost all the damage I took from Spiny Growth on that Reckoner. But as it is, I believe the Reckoner leaves the Carnivean with something like 3 health. Because then just for fun, we have Kell go ahead and pop it a couple times. And unfortunately, it does survive through all of this.
So, turn 5. I lost another heavy, which is never a good thing, but I'm still fairly decently up on the scenario. So, I go ahead, leech my fury. The Naga frenzies on the Reckoner does some damage to it, which is okay. Not terribly important at this point, though. So, I have a couple of things that I need to get done. I do need to clear the zone, and I would like to kill the objective this turn, because that would be fantastic. So I go ahead, try and kill the last Idrian with the Forsaken, and manage to finally kill it, which is good, because that was just an annoying model. It's been there for a couple of turns, and just happy to get it done. Go ahead, aim with the Deathstalker, shoot the choir boy who's standing in the zone. My Deathstalkers have been doing work this game. I'm very, very happy with them. With the exception of the one in, I think, the second turn I started shooting things where it missed, they've been killing stuff fairly regularly. So, next I have Abby go. She casts Psychosurgery, which heals pretty much everything on the board. Heals up everything on the board. And then she goes ahead, charges the Vassal who's standing in the zone. I roll a whole bunch of dice. It's kind of an inside joke with the group when you had, fearless models and whatnot, and be like, oh, well, take a terror check, and just pick up a whole bunch of dice, and just without even looking at what you rolled, just drop on the table and go, I pass. Which, it's just kind of funny. It breaks up the tension. It just, having a little bit of fun. She goes ahead, attacks the Vassal, manages to kill it, triggering Converted Rage, and then she hits Reznik a couple of times, dealing some damage. He doesn't have any focus for me to steal, which is sad, but, every little bit helps at this point. And then she just goes ahead and teleports backwards. I have the Carnivean advance, and then hit the objective, and I mess up my facing, which means I can't kill the Reckoner. I go ahead, charge with the Protector, boost my my charge attack, and then do some more damage to Reznik. At this point, I'm pretty much going to win on either scenario or assassination, but I'm just trying to see at this point, can I kill Reznik? So it's a very, very tight game. I didn't think this was a great matchup for me, but I think just being patient at the respecting his threat ranges and respecting Flesh's weak and the ability of it, I think was what helped me out a lot.